Back Peter. Okay. How PETA turned an entire country against it overnight. I wonder what the fuck they did.
Typically, when you see someone abuse a pet or animal on the internet, then chances are you'll probably see someone in the comments somewhere saying, "Call PETA." In fact, one could even argue that this has been a thing on the internet for as long as we can remember. But
So you say that, apart from the fact that they have like the biggest euthanization rate for dogs.
what is PETA anyway? Well, it stands for People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. What a
Apart from
wonderful
when you're
name
putting
for
them
an
down.
organization. Okay, well, what do they fight for? Animal rights? That's awesome. Well, not quite. Here's how they describe their own mission on their website. Animals are not ours to experiment on, eat, wear, use for entertainment, or abuse in any other way. Okay, kind of extremist, right? The idea that no one's allowed to eat animals, that's definitely interesting, but most people can definitely agree with the other parts. But how is it that an organization like this managed
See,
to
I
make...
don't. Here's the thing. We don't like the idea of dogs or cats being used as testing shit. Or anything that looks cute. We're fine with rats being done because we don't like them. I'm on the opinion of, if it can save people and is in a humane way of doing it, I'm fine with animal testing. If they're mistreating the animals and letting them suffer if they have a bad effect, then I have an issue with it. It's one of those things where, like, you have to figure out the good and the harm of it. Typically, as before, I'm in the situation of animal testing is an unfortunate thing that we kind of have to do to help save human lives. You kind of have to, like, just deal with it in the most humane way possible.
so many generations of people be aware of its existence? How does it have such a monopoly over the topic of animal rights? Well, it's actually all thanks to their marketing strategy.
What does that even say? You're wondering.
You see, ever since PETA was created in
Get
the
away.
1980s, they knew that people had bigger worries than wondering where animals came from and how they were processed in factories. So to truly get their message across, their strategy has always been to grab headlines by any means necessary. For decades, PETA would be synonymous with ridiculous marketing campaigns. This right here is one of the most famous examples. A group of naked women laying in coffins in public saying they'd rather be caught dead than wear animal fur.
Cool.
Things like this became an important part of PETA's DNA, and it would help them spread awareness about their cause and their organization to multiple generations. But that's, of course, until Gen Z came along. A generation that kind of grew up understanding what
The
they
generation
were,
where I am legit just in it. Just in.
but by the time they became adults, became so desensitized by the internet that nothing really shocked them anymore. PETA had used the same strategy for decades now, shock and boldness. The problem with this strategy, though, is that over time, for it to remain effective, every campaign you make has to be more shocking than the previous one. And more importantly, the line between bull chalk and rage bait is extremely thin. And for years now, PETA has been absolutely clueless about the fact that they had crossed it a while ago. They had essentially gone from very bold marketing campaigns that no one had ever done before to now posting an AI-generated image of a fish being cut into sushi, calling it artistic rendering, and being community noted. That's just plain embarrassing. For years now, this has been PETA's reality. They're nothing more than just rage baiters, and they failed to see that. They've completely lost the plot. And speaking of losing the plot, it turns out that PETA actually enjoys killing animals more than rescuing them. After numerous investigations spanning across multiple years, many have been able to conclude that PETA enjoys killing animals way more than just putting them up for adoption and finding them a new loving home. Why?
Perfectly. Also, I'm pretty sure, wasn't PETA one of the people that, because I remember seeing that video of that homeless dude who was basically just chilling, doing what he needs to do, just doing what he needs to do, trying to get money and shit. And like they came and kidnapped his fucking dog. I'm pretty sure that was PETA.
Because they believe owning a pet dog is slavery. I wish I was kidding. Don't believe me? Well, the founder of PETA herself said that pet ownership is an abysmal situation and argued in a 2014 interview that outdoor cats should just be killed. It's better for them.
Lovely.
By now, and we're still in the intro of this video, you're probably wondering, okay, how the hell does this organization even still exist? And how can it possibly get any worse? Well, recently, PETA decided that killing animals is not enough. They decided to openly tarnish the legacy of a dead animal. And the backlash that they experienced was biblical.
What did they do?
Silent Suzuka was a Japanese racehorse with an unrivaled legacy. I mean, he was extremely fast and well known globally to anyone who followed horse racing. However, in 1998, his life ended after a tragic injury on the track. What really made Silent Suzuka stand out during that incident, though, is that even though he was in horrendous pain, he didn't flip out, he didn't try to injure his jockey, no. He silently went to the side of the track, dropped off his jockey, and when he was sure that his human rider was safe, proceeded to collapse. Yeah, he was one hell of a horse. Now in 2021, the mobile game Uma Musume Pretty Derby would come out in Japan.
I was wondering what the link was between that and the thumbnail.
Racing game, with every one of these anime girls representing a famous Japanese racehorse. This game would prove to be extremely successful in Japan, would release globally in 2025, and would make billions of dollars. And one of the horses that was immortalized as an anime horse girl was none other than Silent Suzuka. In fact, Uma Musume would even have an anime, and Silent Suzuka would make an appearance there too. So as you can see, this was a very well beloved and very well respected horse to this day. So what the hell could have PETA possibly done to create a worldwide backlash? Did they pay their respects to this wonderful animal that showed incredible compassion to humans in its final moments? Of course not. They instead would post a disgusting image of the anime horse girl version of Silent Suzuka with a grotesque leg injury where you can see the bone protrude outside of the skin, arguing that if the game was honest, your favorite horse girl wouldn't get any comeback arcs. One failed event and the race is over, just like what happened to the real Silent Suzuka.
You would have used them over them anyway, because you don't believe in pets, and they can't be released to the fucking wild, you assholes.
Now look, PETA had been fucking around for years and had faced barely any consequences. This time though, they fucked around and they found out. Because not only did this post get viewed 16.4 million times, not only are there 11,000 replies completely shitting on their entire existence.
Speaking of, I love his fucking profile pic. Funny as shit.
Not only did this post get community noted, but it even prompted a Japanese politician to speak out on this disgusting behavior, as well as the owner of Silent Suzuka.
Yeah.
Guys, this was probably one of the worst things PETA could have ever done.
I feel like when you get done by the owner, you're fucked.
Reputation. More and more people are looking into the fact that they're killing more animals than they're saving, with Japanese people in particular finding out the true nature of this company rather than thinking that they actually fight for animal rights. And unlike
because the chances of people in Japan actually like fully knowing the context behind them is slim if they don't have a translated version for it, aren't they? Even the amount of people that speak English, speak and read English, I doubt many people fully have looked into it.
Their usual rage bait, this time there were many people that destroyed the hell out of PETA with facts and logic. Actual real arguments that showed that Uma Musume Pretty Derby did a million times more than PETA could ever hope to achieve. It was hilarious seeing this disgusting organization get pummeled to oblivion, and so that's why I thought I had to make a video about this. So you already know the drill. Let's do this. Alright, so look, as I mentioned in the intro, PETA gained prominence, or I should say relevancy, due to its shocking and bold marketing campaigns like this one right here.
Okay.
If dogs
I get the idea behind it, but at the same time, it's circumstantial. We got dogs as pets. If we hadn't got dogs as pets, we probably would be eating them.
Tasted like pork,
in countries they are eating them.
What's the difference? Go
it's
vegan,
cultural.
Showing the image of a dog with a pig's head. By PETA's own standards though, this was definitely soft. You see, one of the first instances of extremely shocking yet somewhat bold marketing campaigns was as far back as 1991. Back then, one of America's most infamous serial killers, Jeffrey Dahmer, was captured. Jeffrey was someone who had captured 17 males and, well, got rid of their limbs. He would
Yep.
then place them in the fridge and eat them later, because guess what? The guy was a cannibal. What would PETA do? Well, they'd publish a newspaper advertisement pretty much likening meat packers to being exactly like Jeffrey Dahmer, someone
Oh,
who killed
lovely.
17 human beings. Now, today, if this happened, no one would really care, but back then, people cared a lot. This caused unprecedented commotion, and it was exactly what
Well,
PETA
yeah,
wanted.
because
From their point of view,
Dahmer
their
was
mission is
so
to get
prevalent at
animal
the
rights
time.
messages out to as
Now
many
everyone's
people as
basically just
possible,
like, okay,
which is
whatever.
why they try to make their actions colorful and controversial. Colorful is a very interesting word. All in the hopes of grabbing as many headlines around the world and spreading the message of kindness to animals to thousands, sometimes millions of people. They would
Apart
then
from
gloat
cats and
that
dogs,
this
of
approach has
course.
proved to be amazingly successful, and you know what? To their credit, initially it was. For the first 2 decades after PETA was established, they would spread awareness over some extremely inhumane conditions that many animals faced in different areas, whether it be factories, farms, or hell, even government agencies. The outrage following these investigations would help new laws be put in place. Laws that would either help animals get treated better or straight up shut down certain labs or agencies that would mistreat them.
Okay,
However,
sure,
not all
that's
good
good.
things last forever, and at some point, PETA would lose the plot entirely. In fact, after my research, I can personally conclude that they had officially lost the plot by 2003, when they would release
Okay.
their newest marketing campaign,
So
an
it's
exhibition
5.
titled Holocaust on a Plate. And
Lovely.
yes, it is as horrible as it sounds.
I can
In fact,
imagine.
here's a sign that you would find at this exhibition. On the left, you would see a Holocaust victim that went through famine, and on the right, you would see a cow that went through famine. I don't think it would take a genius to understand that Jews back then were extremely angered by such a marketing campaign,
I can
likening the
imagine.
suffering of so many people in World War II to the idea of eating meat. I mean, come on. And at a certain point, this would just get old. People wouldn't take them as seriously anymore. Around almost a decade later in 2014, PETA would release a marketing campaign in which they say that dog breeders are literally the Austrian painter, releasing a poster of a dog.
Sure. Here's the thing. In terms of like breeding as well, I'm in the thing of try your best to like adopt. I don't like short face breeds for dogs or cats. Just because of the breeding problems, I feel like they should be, it's gonna sound mean, I don't think they should be bred anymore. Just because I don't think it's right for the animal. Because as I said, the short face, it does not do them well. They tend to have breathing problems and it's just not good for them. They're bred like that specifically because people like their looks. I don't think it should be done anymore.
Dog with the infamous, well, mustache. And if you thought that wasn't bad enough, on the same year, if you went to PETA's website, you'd be greeted with, got autism? Studies have shown a link between cow's milk and autism.
Lovely. 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 Oh, what fucking pricks.
Now, this confused the hell out of people, and it could mean one of 2 things. The first possibility is them saying that cow's milk causes autism, which is extremely incorrect.
Yes.
There's nothing in any way, shape, or form proving that. And the second possibility is them saying that only autistic people drink cow's milk, which I don't need to sit here and tell you sounds really bad. Pretty much saying that there's something very wrong with autistic people, which isn't the case. They're just people. You see what I mean?
Here's what I'm thinking of though. It's kind of like saying, oh, if you do this, you're gay. If you do that, you're gay. If you do this, you're gay. I can imagine a lot of people were like in that sort of vein, like, oh, if you drink milk, you're autistic. And they're like, oh, no, the fuck, I'm not. No, I'm not. I can imagine several people doing that. Like,
Once you
unironically.
make shocking statements, the only way to keep people's attention is to somehow make a shocking statement more shocking every single time. But with the line between shocking and rage bait being so thin, yeah, it's no surprise by this point people thought PETA was a joke. Their stupid
Yeah.
antics were starting to alienate vegans
Tofu
from
never
wanting to
caused a
support them.
pandemic.
That was their target audience. I mean, mid-pandemic in 2020, when people were wrestling with the fact that they had to be isolated for God knows how long, PETA comes out and says, oh, hey, yeah, this happened because of you meat eaters. Tofu never caused a pandemic. Like, dude, shut the fuck up. Now, yes, this stupid attempt at rage bait is definitely funny. And while I'd love to just sit here and laugh, unfortunately, when it comes to PETA, their existence is actually a problem, especially if you like animals. You see, this organization is nothing more than just a
Oh.
group of extremists. In 2017, two PETA employees would kidnap a 9-year-old's chihuahua. They assumed that it was a stray that needed to be euthanized because, of course, they hate the idea of putting up a dog for adoption. However, state laws say that they have to hold the pet for 5 days to make sure there's no owner that, well, will come and claim it. They
I'm
chose
assuming
to
they
ignore
didn't.
that rule
Yeah.
and euthanize this poor chihuahua within the same day. The family ended up suing the organization, and PETA paid them $49,000 to settle. But that poor girl is probably traumatized for life.
Yeah.
But I wish that was the worst thing they'd done.
See, that's the
In
worst way to
2005,
turn
2
yourself
years
away.
after their completely tone-deaf Holocaust marketing campaign, some people would start noticing that the dumpsters behind a supermarket in North Carolina was filled with dead animals, specifically cats and dogs. Well, it turned out it was none other than PETA. The two employees in question would be acquiring these pets by lying to veterinarians, telling them they're going to put them up for adoption, and then just euthanizing them in the same day in the back of their van. The veterinarian
What the fuck? Oh, we love animals. We're gonna kill them basically straight the fuck away. What the fuck?
who had given these pets to PETA thinking they would get adopted would later say they were in good health and were very adoptable, especially the kittens. It was tragic, and yet PETA was able to get away with this because of a stupid law in the US that says that PETA and other shelters are allowed to kill owner-relinquished animals for virtually any reason at any time without any effort to find them homes.
Why is
But
that
of
a
course,
law?
politicians don't care about actual important matters like this. And finally, if you want something a bit more recent to truly show you how disgusting PETA is, then look no further. This was a study published in February 4th, 2025, examining the rate of death of animals in PETA shelters in the year of 2024.
Why do they have
PETA
shelters?
is established in the state of Virginia. The average rate of euthanasia for all agencies
What
in
do they have against
Virginia
cats?
is 10%. That means that 90% of their animals find a new home. They successfully get adopted, with 10% being euthanized, which is reasonable. Some cats or dogs they might find on the street might have a very bad disease, they could be on their last legs, and giving them euthanasia is the most humane thing to do, that way they don't squirm in pain for the rest of their lives. PETA, on the other hand, euthanizes 64% of their dogs, 69% of their cats, and 67% of all animals in general that are held in their shelters. Think about this for a second.
Fucking hell.
Only 30% somehow find a new home. The majority find themselves dead. Does that seem like an organization that likes animals to you?
No.
I mean, look at this. In 2014, they euthanized 96% of their cats.
Honestly, it seems like they like the wild animals, they don't like dogs and cats. That's what it seems like to me.
Very interesting, right? Especially seeing that the founder of PETA has already expressed the fact that stray cats shouldn't exist. In other words, they should all be killed. I mean, I just find this so disgusting, but also so fascinating. PETA always likes to ignore the fact that humans and animals are fundamentally different, which is why we shouldn't eat them. Does that mean we should euthanize 69% of children that are currently in shelters waiting to be adopted by a family? I wonder what this failure of an organization would say. Oh wait, I actually know exactly what they would say. One look at their social media in 2025, and the only thing you'll find is rage bait. That's what they still thrive on. They want views, they want relevancy at any cost, no matter how stupid they might look in the public's eyes. And it's that same exact philosophy that made them fuck around and find out when it came to one of the most loyal communities on the internet. And it resulted in them wiping the floor with PETA's pathetic ass.
What they do?
This all brings us back to the game Uma Musume Pretty Derby. Available both on PC and mobile, it pretty much took over the world this year. In fact, if you were able to catch the Game Awards recently, then you would have seen that it actually won Best Mobile Game.
Oh,
The
wow.
same company behind that very successful game that's generated billions of dollars to date is also behind its extremely successful anime series.
I've been
All
meaning to
horse
watch the
girls in
anime. I think I'm gonna
and
watch
the
it.
game are actually based off their real-life counterparts. This was only possible to do after getting direct approval from each one of their owners. But that's not all, of course. They weren't just able to make an awesome game, some great anime, and respect the medium. Horse racing has been a dying sport for years now, and they were able to revitalize the entire industry by bringing in such a huge amount of young people that are now interested in it thanks to the game and anime. In fact, the developer, Cygames, wouldn't just support horse racing directly by sponsoring multiple events, they would also make it a point to support retired racehorses, making sure that they're not neglected and encouraging fans to donate to them. In fact, ever since Uma Musume Pretty Derby had come out in Japan and then eventually came out globally, the Retired Horse Association of Japan, who takes care of all retired racehorses, has seen a massive surge in donations. I mean, look at this. They had created a fundraiser back in October to create a memorial for multiple retired horses that have passed away recently, and they were able to raise 6.3 million yen out of their 10 million yen goal. Before Uma Musume, people didn't really care that much about retired horses. Now they do. Isn't that awesome? Now, with all this info in mind, and this is me barely scraping the surface, by the way, how much worse does this post from PETA actually sound now? Going after a developer in a game that has done...
Really quick though, did they have AI do this? Who the fuck was the artist that said, oh yeah, sure, I'll do this for you?
Done more for horses than they could ever even conceive. I mean, what a desperate cry for attention. The replies would of course immediately point this out, like this one that ratioed the original post by like 5 times, saying Uma Musume does more to the welfare of the horses it honors than misleading and self-serving posts like this do better or be quiet. I mean, not a single one of these 11,000 replies were positive. They were just shitting on PETA's entire existence. The audacity for an organization that euthanizes 70% of its animals to talk about euthanasia is wild. Just so you know, this was a severe leg injury that Silent Suzuka experienced on the racetrack. Once that happens to a horse, they are guaranteed to die a slow and painful death. Euthanasia here was actually, unlike PETA's shelters, humane. But they've lost the plot since 2003. Reasoning with them is pointless.
Well, yeah, but I'm pretty sure it's because, what's it called? I may be like totally wrong with this. Like as soon as like the horse's leg like snaps or something like that, because of their body weight and shit, they can't walk. They can't do what they need to do. They can't do anything. At least not
treat them
properly.
anyway, because why not?
Without
They're clowns. They
pain.
deserve it. This person would say the irony is that Uma Musume itself is responsible for the increase of the Retired Horse Racing Association's donations and care for the animals.
Yeah.
Just this year, between Versailles Farm, Northern Farm, and Nice Nature, which are 3 different horses, they raised over $1 million combined, spread purely by the fans' love of the horses. Here we can see a chart of Nice Nature's birthday donation trends, and as you can see, there is a massive uptick in donations after Uma Musume Pretty Derby had come out. I mean, it would go from 1,700,000 yen to 35 million after the game had come out. That's a multiplication of almost 35 times, and it kept rising higher and higher, reaching 74 million in 2024. But yeah, let's make a disgusting drawing instead, criticizing the game instead of helping. I mean, PETA has no idea just how much Japanese people in general, including the voice actress of Silent Suzuka herself, hold respect for these horses. In an interview, she was literally crying over Silent Suzuka's memory, wondering if she could properly convey the spirit of this legendary horse. Do PETA employees cry when they euthanize 70% of their animals for no reason? That's a rhetorical question. And then, of course, comes the very embarrassing community note that came in different languages. This is the Japanese one. It would say, "This is hate speech." Might be a bit of a rough translation. Anyway, although the game Uma Musume Pretty Derby is in no way opposed to PETA's philosophy of establishing and defending animal rights, this post provokes those involved with the game. Reference about PETA. So that link is meant to show you that PETA's philosophy is to stand against anyone opposed to animal rights. Cool. Then it goes on to say, this post violates the guidelines of Uma Musume Pretty Derby by denigrating the honor and rights of others, making it an antisocial post that does not follow the rules, like guidelines for derivative works of Uma Musume Pretty Derby. So here we get linked to the website of Uma Musume, outlining their terms of service for fan works. In a nutshell, you can create fan art, you can create fan merch, you can do all those things, but they cannot be political, they cannot be sexual, and they sure as hell cannot be gory or disturbing.
Yeah, I think I remember him talking about that in the last video.
Was doing. And finally, the community note would say, provocative posts intended to attract attention also have an aspect of spam and therefore violate X's terms of service. This also would be echoed by the community note in English, saying Cygames guidelines strictly prohibit violent or grotesque depictions of Uma Musume characters to respect the real horses. Using the IP for political advocacy or commercial gain is a direct violation of the derivative work guidelines. So seeing this, Twitter was overjoyed, begging Cygames to sue the ever-living
Come on,
shit
sue him.
out of PETA, saying that
Sue,
there's approximately
sue,
five
sue,
different
sue,
violations
sue,
of Uma
sue,
Musume community guidelines and actual grounds for a hefty lawsuit.
sue.
I think it was safe to say at this point that no one was siding with PETA. But we're not just talking about the English-speaking audience here. This travesty had reached Japan, and the damage to their image there became catastrophic.
Oh god,
A
can you
Japanese
imagine?
politician by the name of Kurishita Zenko, who used to be a part of the Japanese Metropolitan Assembly, would catch wind of this, and he would have something to say. It would be in Japanese, so here's the translation. He'd say, PETA, the world's largest animal rights organization, has suddenly made the following post using illustrations from Uma Musume, sparking controversy. It already has a community note attached,
No.
stating
No. How bad do you have to be to get all of Twitter to go against you? Twitter is like the most devil advocate site in the fucking world. How bad do you have to be to have everyone fucking hate you?
violates content guidelines, but we must re-recognize that just because it's a massive international organization doesn't necessarily mean it's fair, in reference to following the rules. He'd then reply to his own post, continuing, saying, PETA's incoherent accusations against Nintendo are still fresh in our memory. It almost feels like they're targeting Japanese content. Surely there are other things they should be doing to protect animals. He would continue further, referencing the article about the pet chihuahua we just saw earlier, saying, thank you for the information. I couldn't believe my eyes. Not many people in Japan know what kind of organization PETA is, so we should take this opportunity to spread the word.
Oh yeah,
See how much
100%.
damage this did? Look, this philosophy of bad publicity is always good publicity? No. Japan was under the impression that PETA actually stood for animal rights. Now they're finding out what kind of organization they truly are. In other words, they fucked around and they found out.
So in other words,
But
no
the
one's going
finding
to trust
out
them in
part
Japan.
wasn't over just yet. That's because out of nowhere, the owner of the late Silent Suzuka would say in a quote tweet, straight up, go to hell, you shitty organization.
Well said.
This would get 3 million views, 75,000 likes. I mean, straight up full support for this guy. And he's totally right. Someone would reply to the owner's post saying, I remember Suzuka's fracture being a comminuted fracture where the broken bones didn't protrude out, not an open fracture like in that organization's picture where the bone is visible from the outside. But was I wrong? The owner would say, that's right. In other words, PETA was straight up lying. That's not how the fracture looked. Am I surprised? No.
Yeah.
Someone else would
At
reply
this
with,
point,
is
no.
this the group that was saying about Mario Kart's cow putting a nose ring on it as a symbol of livestock?
It's
This
a
was
cow.
in reference to what the politician had said earlier, that they had tried to go after Nintendo for this Mario Kart character. Like, how ridiculous is this? Their marketing campaign said, let cow race free, remove her nose ring. Like, surely there must be more important things to do.
Are we sure that's a girl
A few
cow?
days later, the owner of the late Silent Suzuka would quote tweet the tweet we just saw where he called PETA a shitty organization and say, the resentful voices from all over the world against that shit organization group are intense. Seriously, what the hell did they do to get hated this much?
Oh, a
Lol."
lot.
Well,
We've just
the
heard a
Japanese
lot.
people are slowly finding out, aren't they? In fact, my favorite tweet in all this, okay, was this guy going back to that dog AI-generated image of a fish being turned into sushi, quote tweeting it and saying, it's honestly hilarious how the obese fast food nation that's all about burgers is nitpicking Japanese sushi. PETA wasn't just ruining their reputation worldwide, they were also ruining the American reputation worldwide. Not that it was very good to begin with, but still, it's not like they need more negative shit. Overall, this whole thing was an absolute mess, and it only served to make it known that
I want to
PETA
kind of
is
watch
terrible.
Jujutsu
Now everyone is
Kaisen.
starting to get aware of this. This is
Jujutsu
one of the
Kaisen,
worst
is it?
decisions the social media team of PETA could have taken.
It's on my
And
list.
now people are simply begging Cygames to sue the ever-living shit out of them. I usually try to stay neutral in my videos, but dude, even I'm hoping that happens, okay? I truly want to see that. That would be so cool. Anyway, thank you so much for watching until the end. If you're interested in the entire history of Uma Musume Pretty Derby and how it came to be,
I
as
would
well
watch
as how
it.
it helped to revitalize the entire horse racing industry, then make sure to check out the video I made about it a few months ago called The Chaotic History of the Horse Game That Took Over the World.
Hopefully they get sued. Oh, by the way, you go and guess what I've done? I put in an application to be partnered with them. I don't get what everyone else gets, which is the cup or anything. But I may get a code for you guys. You may like it. I don't know. They haven't responded back to me yet, so I don't think I'm getting it. What was I gonna say? Right. Yeah. Have they got sued yet? Please tell me they're getting sued. PETA is like a box of chocolate. No, kill your dog. That's quite funny.